Thursday, October 31st. The city streets are crowded for the holiday, even with the rain. Hidden in the chaos is the element, waiting to strike like snakes. But I'm there too, watching. 2 years of nights have turned me into a nocturnal animal. They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows.
Now in this video, you're going to find out if this 1/3 scale of the Batman statue by JND Studios was one, worth the $2,800 price tag, you heard that correctly, $2,800, and if this is one of the best statues on the market and maybe the best Batman statue to date. Let's talk about it. Now let's waste zero time and kick things off with the box art for the 1/3 statue, looking very clean and gives very museum-esque vibes. And I was lucky enough to get number 189 out of 900 because if you didn't know, JND are known to do limited numbered worldwide releases, which is really cool. Really helps you factor in, that price hike that you're paying for a premium-esque statue. And I just thought it was really cool getting under 200 being my first one. That was very interesting. And there you have the plaque here with the signature of both artists. I also wanted to make it clear I bought this directly through JND Studios. I didn't go with any other retailer or US retailer. I just did direct, and that's the reason why I got it pretty earlier than others, since JND, when completing the product, are able to ship it direct right away. Now let me get this assembled and show y'all how it turned out. Now here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the fully assembled Robert Pattinson from the Batman 2022. The full cowl look, looking badass. I absolutely love this. This is such a showstopper piece in my collection now. I just want to show the full body look. We're going to get into these sculpts in just a second, but I love the look of this thing. I have the fan blowing on. You see the cape flowing in the back, looking really nice. I love this, man. This is a great freaking piece. We're going to get into my full thoughts, but let's get into this head sculpt because, my God, I absolutely love it. And here comes the freakiness. We're going to get into it in just a second. A silicone mouth that you can actually move. Look at it. Oh, it's going to freak you out. Is it freaking you out? Because it's freaking me out every time I do this, man. This is my first ever experience with a silicone head sculpt, and it is, as they mentioned, hyper realistic. This is the most realistic and just greatest sculpt I've ever seen in person in my life. I've never seen something so close to an actor, and the details are just absolutely out of this world. And you can actually take off the cowl, which is insane. It looks so freaky, but it's so cool. JND included this. They could have just had it fixed, but the fact that you can take it off to see even more of the details of the sculpt was a really nice touch. I'm glad they did that. It's very weird looking, but obviously we're going to pop it back in. I love how it's just easily magnets popped off and on. I show you right here. This is the cowl, like the overlet of it with the magnets attached onto it. And you can just pop it right back in. Simple as that. Look at that. Look how cool that is. How innovative and interesting is that you can just pop the cowl on and off. Very cool. Obviously not necessary, but definitely appreciative. Now let's take the head sculpt off the body and get a closer look at how incredible the likeness and detail is on this sculpt. Gonna show some side to sides while I'm taking these pictures. These were actually taken on my Canon camera, so I'm excited to be using some more photography, and hopefully these high-res photos do justice because I think this is the best likeness I've ever seen in person. I don't know if the photos do it justice. You'll have to let me know in the comments. Am I crazy? I think this looks exactly like him from the film. Look at this side by side right here. That looks almost like 12 out of 10. Like, they absolutely killed it. We talk about this. I'm used to hot toys in art nailing head sculpts, but when it comes to statues, sometimes the likenesses could be off, but I think with the cowl specifically, we're going to get into the non-cowl look, they absolutely nail it. This is perfection at its finest. This is all I've wanted. I've always wanted to get a statue. I've always wondered which one I should get, and I think I made the right call here. Look at the details on the side. You can see the crinkling of the mask on the side. Like, this is all sculpted work, and the fact that they're able to recreate this in 3rd scale is absolutely mind-blowing. I think it's amazing. Like, look at that. That looked exactly like the photo I just showed. Almost exact. Like, it's wild. These companies just get better and better with their new products, and the details, the likeness, the glass eyes, everything about this just screams premium brand, and obviously you're paying that premium price. Now, I think I gushed enough about this mask look, and I'm going to rate it a 10 out of 10. I honestly think there is no imperfections, no issues with the sculpt of the cowl, and the likeness is 100% there. But let's move on to the unmasked look, which is going to be maybe a little more controversial. Let's get into it. All right, now here comes freaky time number 2. We got the moving face with the silicone, and it's, again, never gets old. Freaks me out, the silicone face. It's next level stuff. I absolutely love it. It's creepy, and hopefully I'm not messing with any of the paint here. I'm not going to do this again, but I just wanted to showcase it. Now let's take a close look at the rooted hair, which looks very well done, nice, stylized, textured. You can futz with it as I'm showing here. I'm going to probably, after this video, get it really nicely done because I want to more replicate the movie, but this is just showing you that you can futz with it. It's very nice, rooted. You got the hairline showing. Very well done by the team at JND. Now let's talk about the likeness. What do y'all think? I think this is super controversial, so let me know in the comments. Some people love JND sculpts, other people hate it. I think detail-wise, it's beautiful. It's stunning. The details on it, you can even see the wrinkling under his chin, like the stubble. Very, very excellent work detail-wise, but I still think that they lack on the likeness. I think that the likeness from afar looks great. It looks like obviously Robert Pattinson when I'm obviously sitting down, but when I take a close look into it, I think that they got it off just a little bit. I think it's probably like a mix. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And I think when you're paying this price, personally, I expect some better likeness on these sculpts. And maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm expecting too much, but let me know all of your thoughts. We're putting some side-by-side photos. Like, it's there. You can see it, but I think that it just needs to be a little bit better. Something about the chin, it seems a little bit broad, maybe a little bit too, it needs to be a little more narrow for Robert Pattinson. I think that that's the one thing that caught my eye and I think is off. I think it needs to be sharper. He has a very sharp jawline, and maybe it's hard to do that in third scale. Who knows? I'm not sure, but the details and the paint apps on it are bar none 10 out of 10. It's just the likeness where I think that they slightly missed it. And honestly, if I'm going to judge it on a rating, I would say it's probably at like a 7 to a 7.5. I'd probably give it a 7 likeness. The detail-wise, though, it's like, yeah, 9.5. They absolutely nailed it. I just think that the likeness is just off. It's just off to me. And I think that if anyone tells you that this likeness is a 10, I would tend to disagree with that. I don't think that this is perfect. There's no way that this is Robert Pattinson. I've studied this film. I studied images of him in the, obviously, black makeup on the eyes, and they just didn't capture it. They didn't capture it perfectly, but I think it's like a 7 to a 7.5. Which, again, is not a bad score, and the prototype pretty much looked like this, so I can't complain too much. I'm going to use the cowl, so I'm not too bothered by it, but yeah, paint apps and details, I'm going to finish this with a 7.5 out of 10 for sculpt number 2. Now let's move on to likely the most impressive feature of the statue is the details and accuracies of this suit. JND are always known to be the most accurate representations when it comes to statue and potential 6-scale figures in the future, but we'll get there in the future. Look at the details on this, and this is all sculpted work. They've explained that everything on this is a sculpted piece, and you can see the wrinkles, you can see the texture where it looks like it's going to be different materials used, but no, it's not. It is all sculpted detail, and I think they absolutely nailed it. It all looks beautiful. There's so much different patterns and wrinkles and details on the actual suit, damage on it, dust, and I'm going to show some actual real life of the suit and showing the actual statue itself, and I think they absolutely killed it. I think everything here looks completely accurate to me. It's almost like a shot for shot. You can't tell what's the real suit and what's the statue, and that's exactly what we're paying for, really. When you're paying for these wild prices on statues, you want the most accurate thing. And I've seen the Prime 1 Studios Batman. I've seen photos of it. This one is definitely more accurate. You can see that his suit, the actual padding on it is gray, which is accurate to the actual film. It wasn't black. It wasn't that darker lit. It was when they used different coloring in the movie, but the actual prop replica of the suit is gray, and JND just absolutely captured it. And the actual batarang on the middle just looks amazing, weathered, scratched up, just like the film. I'm going to show another shot of the actual suit. This is the suit that obviously Robert Pattinson used in the film. And when you go to the next shot, it's almost like exactly like what we're seeing on the statue. That's another thing that's a huge seller for JND is that they don't mess around when it comes to screen accuracies and obviously detail paint work on their actual statues. Like right here, when I showed the previous photo, you can look back, it looks pretty almost exact. Obviously, it's not going to be like 150% because it's a statue, but I think they did a great job. And right here, I'm going to show you how you can actually magnetically take these off. You assemble them once you get the statue itself. You just pop them onto the magnets. Very simple, very easy. And look at the detail on that. All sculpted, like I said. Absolutely amazing. They really did a great job here. JND, you got to pat yourselves on the back for the details you put into these things. Look at that sculpted piece, has even like the wrinkles of something being in there, and it's not even like different fabrics and stuff. It's just really well done. Just personal experience, it felt very different doing this because obviously we're not used to doing this with 6 scale figures. Putting on magnetic just like props on and not having to deal with posing was definitely better thing for me because I'm not a great poser. So just being able to set it up, finish it, and just look at the end look was amazing. And you can see the watch here. They even have the electronic one with some of the gadgets he uses in the film. You can see the silver here. It's not actually die cast, but it looks like it. JND are really able to recreate things and make them look as realistic as possible. All the wrinkling on the suit you can see here as well. And the cape is very nicely draped and it looks just about leather. Giving my final rating a 10 out of 10 on the body and accuracies of the suit. Now let's move on to the actual base itself and what my thoughts are on it. Now here we have the base, and I absolutely love the floor piece of it. The fact that they have the rain translucent glow of just rain on the floor of the concrete was a great idea from JND. You got to pat themselves on the back. They got to do it. And the one thing that I can dislike about this base is the title. I don't like the way it is the Batman all in black. For me, I think it would have been better if there was some red on the like back of it or something, where it makes it a little bit more noticeable. That's more of a nitpick though. It's not like a deal breaker. And look at the detail there on the base. You can see the concrete cracks, the water on the floor. If you can't tell already, this is from the beginning of the film when he first shows up and absolutely kicks ass. Our next segment actually dives into the pose, but right here with the base, I'm going to rate it a solid 9 out of 10. Apart from that nitpick, I wish the text was maybe a darker red, but it is what it is at the end of the day. It's an amazing museum base that complements the statue beautifully. Now let's move to our next segment, the pose. Now, honestly, this is one of my most favorite things about this piece. I love the way he is standing with his arms moved out, honestly just ready to kick anyone's ass in front of him, and this perfectly resembles the scene from the Batman movie. Now, if you didn't know, they were absolutely recreating the scene when he shows up in the concrete area with the rain pouring down on him with these goons in front of him, and he just beats the holy hell out of all of them. And it's a really amazing scene, a very monumental scene, because this is when he's just consumed by nothing but vengeance, and I think that they recreated that perfectly. He's a very menacing pose and is very reflective of what he was at the beginning of the film. He obviously since changes at the end, and I just think that this was a perfect and just beautiful pose. They did a great job here. The details just make it stand out even more, but be sure to let me know in the comments your thoughts of the pose on the statue. I think they did a bang up job. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's boring? I get some people do like that more dynamic look, but I think this just fits the character very well. I personally think so. And we're just hitting the 13-minute mark on the video. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button, guys. This took a lot of time. I'm just going to be completely honest, but I love doing it. This is an epic piece, and I'm so glad to be showcasing this on my channel and for all you viewers out there. Now, wrapping things up with the pose, I'm going to rate it personally a 10 out of 10. I think it's amazing. I love the way he's looking down and just consumed by vengeance, as I said previously. Shout out to JND for doing an absolute epic pose. Now, let's move on to something that is very negative. We've been talking a lot of good, but now we're going to talk about something that's controversial and very important. JND's quality control on packaging. Let's get into it. Now, since I was so eager to open this thing up, I actually didn't film my official when I opened the box art itself and the packaging, so I'm just getting photos based off of JND's unboxing video. I'll link it in the description if you want to see the full unboxing from them, but this is the company itself opening them up, and I'm going to explain to you guys how the packaging was a fail. Now, hold on, before everyone goes crazy in the comments. I think this is a very big deal, and it's a bold claim, but I think it's true. The issue here is that when you open this thing, opening the statue itself, the head of the Bruce Wayne unmasked look is fixed magnetically into the body. You can see it in this photo here when JND show it. As soon as you open this thing, this is how it's supposed to look, or how it's going to look when you open it up. The issue here is them not making it a separate area where the sculpt lays into, or a separate container, maybe a different area of the box. The fact that it sits into here magnetically was the wrong call. because this thing is being shipped from Korea. It could be getting shipped from across the globe, wherever you are at. I was in the US, so obviously that was a ways away from me. The problem is that when these things get shipped, there could be mishandlings, drops, people not taking too much care into it, and it just shuffles around when it's moving around the world, obviously. And this magnetic feature is not strong enough to hold it. Because when I opened mine, I'm being honest here, I didn't take a photo of it because I was so just enamored and wanted to crack it open. I was FaceTiming my buddies, so I didn't film my specific unboxing. I should have, but I didn't. The head sculpt was off the body and flipped backwards, and that was very scary to me because this is my first experience opening a statue, and that caught me off guard, to be honest. When you're paying $2,800 for a statue and it comes the head flipped off and it's not magnetically attached anymore, that's a big deal. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of photos because luckily for me, thank God, I had no breakages, no issues with the suit or anything from this. But when I went on Facebook before receiving this, I saw multiple cases of people facing breakages on the collar, around the rim of the collar, because they didn't pack it efficiently enough. JND, I think this is a very big deal, and honestly, if you're paying this much for a statue, I think you need to focus more on packaging these things to make sure they are in tip-top shape when being received from a bunch of collectors out there. So I wanted to make this just prominent in my review. I wanted to be honest. I think that the packaging was a fail. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 because, yeah, that's a very big deal. The presentation's nice, but when it comes down to QC issues and problems for this type of price you're paying, I don't think we should face stuff like that, especially at that price point. And again, I just wanted to showcase this. I could have just ignored it and just not showed this, but I wanted to be honest because it's a big deal. I think JND should listen to this, and hopefully they do. I'm sure they will because they're probably having to face with a lot of replacements, and that must suck. So hopefully next time they package this a lot more securely. But had to get through the negative, and now we're going to go to our final thoughts and what I think about my first statue. Now we're moving on to the wrap-up portion of the video, and if I think that this was worth the price and my final score of the piece itself. Now, I will say this was an experience. People are right. When it comes to statues, it is a completely different ballpark. I'm used to 6 scales. I have over 40 even by now, but this was my first ever statue, and like I've said previously in the vid, I am not regretting it at all. Other than some slight nitpicks, not being a huge fan of the Robert Pattinson likeness, and the packaging being a little scary some, but not for me, this is an absolutely sensational piece. JND have created something extremely special here, and like I said, I'm not a big statue guy. I don't know everything, but when I look at 1/3 scales, when Batman-esque, I still believe that this is the best one I've seen. I've obviously seen videos of these other Batman statues in 1/3 scale, but I personally think that this JND statue, detail-wise, is the best Batman 1/3 statue we have on the market, 100%. I would probably give the second pick to Hush Batman. That Prime 1 one is insane, but again, JND, if they did nail that likeness, I think this could have been maybe one of the best statues of all time, but that likeness on the Robert Pattinson just didn't do it as much for me, and it knocked it down a bit. I also forgot to mention that this is the bust it comes with. I have it above the statue for now. I'm still debating if I want it next to it, under it. I'm not sure yet, but this is the bust it comes with, so you can swap out the unmask with the mask. But regardless, I think I've gotten through pretty much everything on this statue. I hope I did a good job on my first statue video. Hit the likes button to show if I did good or not. Hit the dislike button if you didn't like it. Whatever works for you, but I really do appreciate all the love and support from you guys. And if you did enjoy it, hit the subscribe button to see future stuff, maybe future statues, because this is my first one and maybe not my last. We shall see what the future holds. But thank you all for being here. And I'm going to give the final score on the Batman 1/3 Hyperreal statue by JND Studios an 8.8 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.